But like if you consider feasibility on one dimension and excitement on the other dimension, feasibility means, do I have the technical know-how to actually bring this idea to life? And then excitement on the other dimension, meaning how much do I care about bringing this idea to life? What some people imagine, which I think is wrong, is a plot that looks like this, where the more excited I am by the idea, basically like all the good ideas, I'm less able to actually achieve and less able to build. And this is not how you should view the world. Let me give you an example here. So someone might say, hey, I want to build the next Google search. And that's a hugely exciting proposition, right? Like Google has transformed the lives of so many people in the world. And the idea of you could build a better Google or a competitive product to Google would be extremely exciting. But I think all of us could probably agree that that's, for an individual person to do that, it's very infeasible. Like I don't have the technical expertise. I don't have the capital required to like get all that server space. I don't have the team with me that I could actually achieve doing something like that. And so you might think of the world like, hey, the more exciting something is, the less I'm actually able to contribute to it. But in reality, a better way of looking at the world is something like this, where depending on the idea, you can actually find something which is both very, very exciting to you and something that you can actually do and make progress towards. This is actually a skill. I think the y-axis, the feasibility, is something that everyone is kind of obviously aware of. Like the reason you go to school or the reason you attend a boot camp is to increase the amount of projects that are under your feasibility line. You're increasing your skill level so you can build more and more complicated things, right? But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that that x-axis is also something that you can control. You can control how excited you get about a project. And like I went to Stanford for undergrad, and some people ask me, like, what was the most valuable thing that you learned from going to Stanford? Interestingly, it wasn't really the classes I took or the professors who I interacted with. Honestly, the most valuable thing I learned at Stanford was that skill of being able to get excited by an idea. And what I mean by that is I would have these classmates who were very similar to me, right? Like they weren't that much smarter than me. They weren't that much more hardworking than me, but they had this amazing ability to say, I have this really grandiose vision. I have this huge vision of what I want to achieve, but they were able to backtrack that into something very concrete and very tangible that they could actually work on right now. And so even though that next project that they were embarking on right now didn't actually seem that exciting, they were able to connect that to this huge vision that they were going to achieve a year from now or 5 years from now. And that is exactly the skill that I think I most value from my time at Stanford, is being able to be excited by something and creating a vision and connecting that vision back to what I'm doing today. So for example, like going back to this idea of I'm going to build a competitor to Google, that is very hard to do. But what might be more feasible to do, and which will get me excited, is I want to take on the weather vertical. Every day, millions of people check the weather on Google. What if I could just take that vertical and create a really compelling experience which just shows me the weather in my location in a very nice UI with the animation or all these other bells and whistles that you could add on. And even though that now seems like a simple idea, that's something that you could immediately start working on and start experimenting with. So that's a really good example of how you should be thinking about side projects. Don't use I don't know enough as an excuse not to build anything, because I guarantee you, if you explore enough ideas, you will find something that you are both excited about and which you can actually start building today.